All right. I don't know if everyone can hear me, but we're excited, man. I hope everyone had an incredible weekend here. A good Easter Sunday, but today's Monday, and of course, we're doing the Monday message. And man, I'm excited. I'm excited. We have a guest speaker here that's probably one of my favorite guest speakers that we've had so far in 2026. So let me go ahead and introduce our guest speaker. He's one of the top agents within the alliance, James Coleman. Originally joined, if I'm not mistaken, joined back in 2015. And in the past few years, he's been on a run ever since. Based out of Atlanta, from New York, New Jersey, multiple trip winner, and has truly become just one of the best when it comes to growing the business through the warm market, expanding consistency, and just keeping strong sales on the board. One of the things I take away from James is him being able to just build with intention, especially through that warm market and providing, the right way, doing it the right way while staying productive. So I'm excited to have him on the call today. He's going to be going in depth about how he goes about growing the business through the warm market. So with no further ado, James, are you there? Can you hear me, man?
Yeah, can you hear me, buddy?
I can, man. I
Gotcha,
can.
gotcha, got it. Hey, Adam, thank you very much, man. First and foremost, man, give praise to honor to God, man, for allowing me to be here. Praise to Jane and Andy Albright for creating this vehicle for people like myself and other people to take advantage of it and allowing our dreams to be able to fit into what they have created. And to Stephen and Holly Davis for trusting me to serve the team today. So I'm definitely humble and definitely grateful for like Adam said, those that don't know me, I am James Coleman, originally from Newark, New Jersey. Now I'm down in Atlanta. Got started with the Alliance back in 2015, and some of you that's on this call may know or may not know that my wife and I, we left back in 2019, at the end of 2019, and stayed going for 3.5 years, and decided to call Andy and come back. And we've been back now for just over 2.5 years. And the journey that we've been on has been absolutely great. And I have to say that with the learnings that I've learned from Andy Albright and some of the other leaders in the alliance, such as Stephen Davies, it has helped my wife and I grow our team to what it is today. So I'm very grateful and humble for that. So today we're going to talk about referrals, right? Because back in 2017 is when I started to take the referral business very, very serious, for the simple fact that I was considered a lead junkie. I had my GMR set up, and they was coming in. But when they started to slow down, that's when I said, "Hey, look, this is not working." And I had a conversation with my growing up line at the line, and he's like, "Hey, you better start getting some referrals." And I'm like, "Okay." And I said, "Okay, let me figure this referral thing out," because I knew we had some people that was having some success in it, but I needed to it to be something that fitted me. And the reason why I specifically say that is for the simple fact, initially the way I was taught to do it, I didn't like it. So that's why I wasn't doing it. And the way I was taught to do it at that time was I felt like it was a straight bait and switch, right? And it just didn't feel right to me. And so because it didn't feel right, I never did it. And I had a conversation with somebody, and they was like, "James, the number one reason people don't get referrals is because they don't ask for it. And then when they do ask for it, they don't tell that person, they let the person know that you're going to be reaching out. So if the person don't know that you're going to reach out to them, it's kind of hard for them. Like, what are you calling me for? No, they didn't mention this to me. So I started doing things my way and creating a system that worked for me. And it was just a matter of tweaking what was already in place by the alliance, but I had to tweak it to where as though it worked for me. And since I've done that, it's just been an absolute complete game changer. So just to give you some numbers, just this year, uh, personal production in January, issue paid over 61,000. 56,000 in February and 35,000 in March. And 90% of my business comes from referrals, right? Because I've really got accustomed to doing it, right? And making sure that I'm asking, right? So I could get on here and do a whole PowerPoint presentation for you all, but I say I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to talk y'all through what I do, right? And give you all the opportunities to ask questions. So the first and foremost, right? When you're going through that ATM and it talks about, hey, these billions of dollars of unclaimed life insurance money out there, most people get to that and they just bypass it because they get caught up on the fact that they got the sales. So now they want to close the ATM, right? And like, wait a minute, that part is there for a reason, right? Because we have to provide this service for our clients. So one of the things I do, I say, hey, look, you know, uh, there is, all this money out there, you know, that's unclaimed. And I ask, why do y'all think that is? And most people are going to say, well, they didn't know the beneficiary didn't know they was the beneficiary. No, that's not it. I say it's because the insurance company don't know the person passed away. And I asked them, why do you think the insurance company don't know the person passed away? And it's a deer in the headlight. I say it's because when people take out a life insurance policy, they typically tell the husband and wife will know if they have kids, they might tell one or two of the kids. The insurance company don't know because nobody notified the insurance company. It's because we think when we put these insurance policies in place that we got to be private. We don't want nobody to know because we think somebody going to knock us off and get the insurance money. The money going to go to the beneficiary. So I explained to them one of the services that we provide is an emergency contact system for our clients. And I say, hey, I want you to think about this. When you got hired on your job, did you have to create an emergency contact system for your job? Did you have to do that? And I asked, and they say yes, absolutely. I asked them, if you have kids, when you enrolled your kids in school, did you have to list an emergency contact? Yes. So I said, why would we not put an emergency contact system in place for the one thing that is guaranteed to happen to all of us, which is we going to leave here? And when I say that, I say, does that make sense? When I ask that question, does that make sense? My head is nodding like this because it makes sense to them and they agree. And I let them know. So we do that because we want to make sure that when the time comes, because it will come, it ain't no if, it comes. When the time comes, we make sure the insurance company do their due diligence and get the money paid out to your family. So here's what I need. I need a list of 15 local names and numbers of people that I can reach out to, give them my contact information as well as the name and phone number of the insurance company that we placed you with, right? And here's why I say local, because when I first got started, Georgia is a state where there's a lot of transplants. So I was getting numbers from people in all these different states and everything. And I'm like, I can't help those people. I'm not licensed in those states. Right. And so I started asking for local. And then initially I had people give me two, three names, although I was asking for 15. They, I don't know anybody else. I don't know anybody else. And so I came up with, hey, look. Like we just had the next holiday coming up is Memorial Day, right? So I say, hey, look, Memorial Day is coming up. If you had a cookout, who would be the 15 people that you invite locally to your cookout? Notice I say the word locally. I'm not talking people. It's like me. I got 11 brothers and sisters, right? Most of them live out of state. So I'm saying locally. So who would be the 15 people that you invite locally? Now it gets people wheels turning in their mind thinking who they would, because those are the people I need, right? And the reason why I do that, because I know I'm assuming most people's like myself. You're just not going to invite anybody into your home, especially if you got kids. You're not going to invite anybody around your kids. So it's typically going to be people that you know and trust. So it could be Memorial Day. We got there's if you having a Mother's Day dinner for your mom, who all will be there, Father's Day, July 4th, Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthday, housewarming, whatever the case may be, I'm always associating the next event to them, right? And here's what I don't allow people to do. I don't allow people to say, "Well, I don't have a Memorial Day cookout." I don't allow that. Now, I said, if you was having a cookout for Memorial Day, who would be the 15 people that you would invite locally? That's what I do. You having a birthday, New Year's, whatever the case may be, I specifically do that. And once I started doing that, it started allowing the people to give me the 15 names, right? And there's times where I have a husband and wife. The husband want to give me his own 15, the wife want to give her own 15, right? And here's what I do. I don't let nobody give me less than 10, right? An extra 15, I'm going to get about 10, 12, 15, right? You can't give me three. I'm not accepting that because I know you know more than three people, right? I'm okay with pushing back on the client because I know how important what we do is. I know how important it is when somebody pass away, and guess what? The insurance company don't know, and nobody end up getting the money. Or guess what? By the time the insurance company do find out, guess what? The policy done lapsed. So I understand how important it is, and I'm letting the clients know how important it is. So I get those numbers. Now, here's what was happening to me. I was getting these numbers and names, right? And I was calling the people, and the people didn't know I was calling them, right? And so I go back to the conversation. The person you're getting the names for, they have to let the people know you're calling them. Here was my problem. They gave me 15 names, but they didn't know what name, they didn't know all the people they gave me, right? Because guess what? They trying to remember off the top of their head. So this is when I came up with the idea of taking a picture of all the names they gave me and then having them have them take a picture of it. So now they know everybody name that they gave me, right? That was critical because look, if you yourself gave somebody 15 names randomly, right, and they tell you, let the people know, you're gonna be scratching your head of who did I give? So that's where that came about, right? And so now I got them they know which people to call, and I have the client send a text message out. That text message says, "Hey, hello. My insurance agent, James Coleman, is going to call you on my behalf. And before you ask, yes, everything is okay. He'll be calling from 678-262-8123. Please take his call for me." And I make sure they do not send it in the group text, because you send it in the group text, then people are going to be thinking something wrong, right? And there's times where the client say, is it okay if I let the people know you're gonna call them now? Now, here's the thing. Once they give me that sheet with the names on it, I strategically look at that sheet and I tell them, you put the names, all you gotta do is put the relationship and put what city they live in, city they live in. I used to say city and state, but the problem with city and state was that once again, I'm getting all these outside people out of Georgia. So I just put the city that they live in. Now, when I'm looking at it, I say, hey, look, let me ask you a question. If I can help anybody on this list, just like I just helped protect you and your family, would you be okay with me helping to protect them? And when I'm asking that question, I'm nodding my head, yes. Do you think that'd be a good idea? I'm nodding my head, yes. And what do you think the client is doing? The client is nodding their head, yes, too. Yeah, fine. You want to know why? Because it is a good idea. I just help protect them, right? And so now they know not call them because I actually think it'd be a good idea that if I can help protect them, just like I just helped protect you and your family, you think that's a good idea, you'll be okay with it. This is where I get their permission to talk to their people about me helping them. See, the problem with a lot of people, they're not getting the client's permission to talk to their friends and family about life insurance, right? So the way I was taught initially was, hey, look, we're gonna put this in place and I'm gonna give them my name and information, right? So we call them, give them name and information, and then we say, hey, by the way, do you have any life insurance? And so people was calling back their friends and family like, yo, why is this person calling me about life insurance? And then the client's calling back like, why are you talking to my people about that? We never discussed that. See, that's why it's important to get their permission to talk to the people about if you can help them or not. It goes a long way. And for the people that get good at this and perfect this, their ROI increases drastically, right? Because here's the thing, there's nobody calling those people about life insurance. There's nobody calling them unless they filled out for something, right? And so I let the client know we don't want you to be part of that growing number where something has happened to you and nobody knows. Because here's the thing, what if you and the person that knows you got insurance, what if both of y'all passed away in a car accident? What if the house caught fire and everybody passed away? And I tell the story of one of my friends where her and both her kids passed away in a car accident. The car caught fire. All of them got killed. You know, it happens every single day. 8 to 9 thousand people die every single day. You know, so putting this in place is critical, right? So now once I got it in place, now everything is about the phone call, right? But here's the thing, folks. If you make it a big deal with getting these numbers, the client is going to make it a big deal. Okay. When they writing down numbers, I be like, nope, keep going. We need one more. We need another one. I'm going to walk out of there with a minimum of 10. Minimum of 10. You know, you cannot not give me a minimum of 10. Right? Why? That's the magic number. If you asking for five, you're probably going to end up getting two. You ask for 15, you can get 10, 12. But if you ask for 10, you're probably gonna get four, five. I'm asking for 15 and I'm pushing them to that limit, right? Because I know how important it is in regards to the service that we're providing for them. And here's the thing: most other IMOs out there is not they're not doing what we do when it come down to this, right? And so now when I got their permission to contact these people. So this is how my phone conversation go, right? And let me just preface this because I get people to ask me, James, do you call them like you calling leads? I'm like, yes. I let the phone ring 3 times. If they don't answer, I hang up and I dial it again. I let it ring 3 times again. If they don't answer, I hang up and I let it ring again 3 times, just like I'm dialing a lead. I absolutely do that, you know. And people ask, hey, do you leave voicemails? Yeah, I leave voicemails. Why? Because I'm leaving the voicemail because it is a warm transfer for me, right? Me, when I say, hey, look, Adam, hey, this is James Coleman. I'm the life insurance agent for your good buddy Adam, right? You know, please give me a call back. He should have reached out to you and told you I was going to be giving you a call. And guess what? People call back. Right? Now, so Adam, I'm gonna role play with you if you don't mind, okay?
Let's do it.
So I'm gonna call Adam and I'm gonna say Steven is his buddy. So here's how here's how my role, here's how I go when I call the clients. Ring ring.
Hello?
Adam,
Yeah,
hey, how's everything going, buddy? How you doing today?
I'm good. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Adam, this is James Coleman. I'm the life insurance agent for your good buddy, Stephen Davies. Hey, did he call you or shoot you a text message to let you know that I'll be giving you a call?
Yeah, he did. He
Great,
did
great,
actually.
fantastic. I love that dude. Hey, look, man, the reason for the call is twofold, man. Hey, your good buddy, Steven, he put you down to be part of his emergency contact system. And Adam, what that simply means is that your good buddy, Steven, he trusts you to have my contact information as well as the name of the life insurance company that we placed him with so that in the event tragedy strikes his family, you have a point of contact to reach out to make sure the insurance company do their due diligence and get the money paid out to Stephen's family. Are you okay with that responsibility for Stephen?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Me and Steven
Oh,
are
yep,
very close,
that's
so
why he put you down
yeah,
there, buddy. Hey, Adam, if you could do me a favor, if you can grab a pen and a piece of paper so I can get this information to you, just let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, so my first name is James. Last name is Coleman, Coleman. My office number is 678-262-8123. My personal cell phone number is 973-223-4546. My email address is james at colemanfinancial.info. And the name of the company that we placed your good buddy Stephen with is Foresters. That's Foresters. Their phone number is 877-622-4249. Now, Adam, if you could put that information in a safe place, hopefully you don't have to use it, but in the event you do have to use it, you know where to access that information to give us a call. Okay?
Hmm.
Now, also, Adam, in the event that Stephen were to get diagnosed with cancer, have a heart attack, a stroke, kidney failure, ALS, or have to have a major organ transplant, please give us a call because if any of those things happens to him, he have access to money with the policy. Okay.
Okay.
Now, Adam, I did say the call was twofold, right?
Hmm.
The second reason for the call is that when I was sitting down with your buddy Steven, he talked about it being a good idea that I sit down with you and go over some options on how I can help protect you and your family with some options outside of work, just like I did with him and his family. So, and he said you're down in Asheville. That sounds about right?
Yeah, I am. I'm in
Okay.
Arden.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, is it just you or is it you and the spouse, you and any kids?
It's me and my spouse, and we have
You and your
four
spouse.
kids.
And four kids. Okay, great, fantastic. And at what time do you and your wife typically get home from work together?
Around 6:30.
About 6:30. I tell you what, I'm gonna be in that area tomorrow and on Wednesday. Which one of those days to work best where you and your spouse to be there at about 7:15? Tomorrow or Wednesday?
Wednesdays are better for us.
Wednesday better play. And what is the address?
It's 4649 Dog Lane Road.
Okay, 4649 Dog Lane Road. Now let me ask you this, Adam. That number 4649, is that on the mailbox post, the house, or the garage?
It's on the door and on the mailbox.
Door and the mailbox. Great, great, great. Now, and what color house is it?
It's a eggshell color with a blue door.
Eggshell color with a blue door. Now, what color Ferrari should I see in the driveway when I pull up?
You will see a Honda Accord. No
No
Ferrari
Ferrari,
here. Not
man.
yet. Not yet.
No,
Not
yeah,
yet.
okay. Hey, look, man, I'm gonna be in the gray Jeep. I'm gonna have my name tag hanging around my neck to identify who I am. All I ask is that you give me about a 30-minute grace period, give or take, case I hit some of this crazy traffic out there. Now, is there any reason you could think of you and your spouse won't be there about 7:15 tomorrow?
No, no. Outside of maybe some traffic or just a emergency, a family
All
emergency.
right,
But
cool,
we
cool.
typically
Hey,
should be there.
do me one last favor, Adam.
Uh
Uh, make sure you let your spouse know I'll be there, so that way they can put the shotgun behind the door.
huh.
Uh,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, look, folks, that's my script. That is, it's really simple. That's my script, right? The shotgun behind the door, I stole that from somebody. I don't know who, somebody in the line stole from somebody. The whole Ferrari thing, I stole that from somebody I was role playing with years ago, and I loved it. I loved it. We say case, copy, and steal everything. Copy, and steal everything. If it fits your personality, make it work for you. Notice I said spouse. I didn't assume that Adam has a wife. I said spouse. And I'm never going to assume a woman has a husband or a male has a wife. I'm going to always use the word spouse because of the day and age that we live in today. I don't want to offend anybody. So I'm real purposeful on saying spouse, right? And I challenge everybody on the call even when you're down your regular leads to not say, "Hey, do you have a wife or do you have a spouse?" Spouse, or significant other. That is the key. Now, here's the thing: when you get in these names and numbers, if you got 15, uh, I don't know if you got 15, you're going to probably get in touch with about 10 other 15. Out of 10 other 15, you're probably going to book about 4 appointments, right? You're gonna probably book about 4 appointments. If you book 4 appointments, here's the crazy part. You book 4 appointments, all four are gonna be there, but you're gonna probably end up closing three, right? But when you close those three, it's easy for you to get the names and numbers from them. Why? Because they know how you got to them. So now you pick up an additional 30 to 45 names. That's 30 to 45 free leads. This is why you hear me say your ROI changes drastically because you're not buying those 30 or 45 leads, right? And so you're going to wash, rinse, and repeat, wash, rinse, and repeat. And before you know it, you're not going to have to buy leads anymore. The problem with people is that they not consistent with doing it and they don't give themselves enough time to perfect this. If you give yourself time to perfect it and you're gonna go through the trial and error, you will start to see how this is such a game changer to your business. You know, so that's what I do. That's what I do in a nutshell when it comes down to referrals and everything. Think about it. If you just wrote 3 policies that from a lead that you got, and those 3 policies cost you nothing. Hey, look, you're in a win-win-win situation. But I want you to think about this. What if you had 10 appointments for the week, right? And let's say out of those 10 appointments, you wrote 7 of those people. Let's say out of those 7 people, you just got 10, 10 to 15 names. And let's just say out of each of those 7 people, you wrote 3 additional policies. That's 21 new policies for the week that you wrote that you didn't have to spend any additional money for, right? And now you take that 45, you take those you take each one because money, each one of them 3 for 7 is 21, but each of those 3 people is giving you 10 to 15 names. So if you got 21 people and you getting 10 names out of those 21 people, that's another 210 free leads. But if you got 15 from each of them, that's an extra 315 free leads that you got. Here's the problem when you're doing it at that level. Your clients are going to call you and say, "My people said you have not reached out to them yet, James." Wow. Hey, look, I'm busy. I'm getting to them because guess what? You starting to create a system. This is why, like I said, 90% of my business comes from this. Why? Because I got a system in place now, right? When I get off this call, I got a referral to go take care of, right? You know, that reached out to me yesterday on the Easter. But here's what I want to do. I want to open up the call to see what questions do you all have. Adam,
I'm here, man.
yeah, could you see if they type in questions or anything?
Yeah, I can see in the chat. We don't have any as of yet. Let me see here. Of course, guys, you can always jump into the chat and just throw a question in there. I have a question too, just
Yeah.
about the amount of referrals, right?
hmm
You said no less than 10, 10,
hmm
12, 15. Typically out of those 10, 12, 15 that you get, um, how many of those probably actually result in business versus just
like I said, you are going to book about 4 out of every 10 people you talk to, and sit with 4 because they all going to show up and close 3. Yeah. So, and I tell people, even, those are the numbers. You're going if you get in touch with that many people, you're gonna book about 4 appointments,
mm,
right? So you got a 40% book rate. You got a 40% book rate, you know, and even and even somebody tell me, hey, look, I got insurance already. I'm great, fantastic. Because one of the services we provide for our clients is that we do a free complimentary policy review to make sure what you have is what you're supposed to have. Because here's what we know. Study shows that 70% of people that have a life insurance policy don't have what they think they have. So
right.
I'm in that area tomorrow and Wednesday. What time you normally get in so I can get that complimentary policy review done for you.
Mm. One of their viewers had a question saying, how do you handle when people give you any type of pushback?
How do I handle what?
When any referral gives you some pushback,
The referral.
or the client might give you
So
pushback.
if you're getting pushback from the client, it's because you didn't build enough rapport and trust during that just sit down with them. Right. So I'm not getting any pushback from the client for the simple fact I have established that rapport and that trust with them. Right. So I'm not getting any pushback whatsoever when it comes down to them giving me names and stuff. Like I said, if you line it up the way I talked about lining it up, you're not going to get that because everybody that works a job, they have to fill out an emergency contact. Anybody that enroll their kid in school, they have to fill out an emergency contact.
Mm.
That's why I say, why would you not put one in place for the one thing that's guaranteed to happen to all of us, which is we gonna leave it? That's not up for discussion. That's not up for debate. We all going. We just don't know when. We don't know how, but we are going, right? I don't know if I'm ever going to have an emergency on the job. I don't know if there's ever going to be an emergency at the kids' school, right? All my kids are grown now. I've never had an emergency with my kids in school, ever. But guess what? All of us going to leave here. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Now, if like I said, if a client, if I'm calling and like I said, remember I said 4 out of 10 or 4 out of 12, right? You're gonna book. I'm not telling you or saying you're gonna book an appointment with everybody. Like I said, if it's not for them, right? So, and I offer the complimentary policy review. I offer that, but I also know the numbers, right? And I'd say, hey, look, if anything ever changes, feel free to reach out to me, right? You have my information. And I've had clients that has reached out to me, right? That's just what it is. A great question, though.
Um, One of the users asked, what system are you using to track your referrals? I'm assuming the ARC for the most part, right?
to track them in what sense? Like once I write them, they are in the Arc CRM. But
Hmm.
in regards to me knowing my numbers and everything, that's just straight old school me. I said filling out the ERS
Hmm.
sheet. So when I fill out the ERS sheet, right, everybody that I have not talked to, if I call and I did not get an answer, I put an NA next to their name, meaning no answer, right? Everybody that I booked an appointment to, I put APPT,
Hmm.
meaning I booked an appointment with them. And anybody that I talked to and I did not book an appointment with them, I put a check by their name on my sheet to know that I got them that information. Because the people I have not spoken to or I got that didn't answer, I'm still gonna go back and call them because I gave the client my word that my job is to give them that information. And so, like, even when I get clients say 15, I'm like, yeah, here's why we get 15. Because everybody not gonna answer their phone.
Right.
You and I don't know who's gonna be the ones to answer it. Why do we do local numbers? I'll be like, why people don't like to answer numbers they don't know,
Hmm.
let alone out of state number. This is why we're asking for local names and numbers. Because people are more likely to answer a local number than they are out of state number. Yeah. But
Yeah.
great question though.
Sweet. Let's see what else we got here. One of our other viewers, Darla, asked, "Do you ever book in the house? Or
Do I
you
what?
do you book appointments in the house? Or are you primarily just remote?"
Yeah. Now everything for me is remote now. Everything for me.
Okay.
So when I'm talking to them on the phone, I got the ERS sheet filled out and they give me the names, phone number, and city.
Okay. Sweet. And then another question is, how do you implement this with past clients?
With past client, it's just a matter of calling them up. Like, let's say you got to go do your 90 days, 6 months, or a
Hmm.
year policy review,
Hmm.
right? You call them, hey, it's time for our schedule policy review. And one of the things that we got to put in place that we didn't get to do last time, we got to put your emergency contact system in place and just book the appointment with them.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
That's really
because
good.
because I know people that have not been doing it, right? That's the how do I go back? Hey, it's time for your required policy review,
Yeah.
right? And his thing that word required. I got that from Marvin Osuna when he was on stage one day. I said that one word changes everything, right? But for me, I'm of the mindset that every time I go to one of these conferences or I'm on a call or whatever the case, my mind is like, what am I going to learn today? What am I
Hmm.
taking away from this day? So my mind is always open to catch something, right? So when Marvin Osuna said that, I'm like, damn, that's a game changer.
Hmm.
And guess what? It's a game changer. So if people could use that, when they doing their follow-ups with their clients, it gives them the opportunity to put that in place.
Gotcha. Awesome. I think that's it, man. Hey, James, I appreciate you, man. I really do appreciate your time because I know working with agents, the warm market, the ERS system, if you implement it correctly, it'll transform your business. And you are a great example of that. So it's been a pleasure having you on this call, man.
Yeah, and also for the people that's on the call, my training on this is on the Alliance podcast.
Mm.
So people can go to the Alliance podcast and listen to it and everything.
Okay, sweet. And we'll be sure to drop that in our Discord for you guys. I'll drop a direct link as well as the ERS training as well, so you guys can have that. So,
Yeah.
but that concludes the call, everyone. Like I said, I appreciate you guys. If you have any questions or anything, you can always
Yeah. And
ask them in the
if anybody want
Discord.
to reach out to me, you can drop my number in the chat. They could reach out to me if they got any questions. I'm available. My job
100%.
my job is to serve.
100%. I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
genuinely appreciate that, man. All right, guys, go out there, kill it. We got a big week in front of us, man. Like I said, I appreciate everyone tuning in, and let's kill it.